The first edition of The Tenant of Wildfell Hall by Anne Brontë. I'm Adam Douglas from Peter Harrington. I'd like to show you this copy of a major 19th century novel, not as well known as Jane Eyre or Wuthering Heights by her sisters, Charlotte and Emily, but this is Anne Bronte's only full-length published novel and her major achievement. We see here the title page, and it is published The Tenant of Wildfell Hall by Acton Bell, published under the Bell pseudonym. They all chose different pseudonyms, and Anne was Acton Bell. And it's published, the imprint shows, by T.C. Newby, who was the same publisher who published Wuthering Heights. And he was a little disreputable in a number of ways. And if we look at the facing page to the title page, which is the verso of the half title, we see that he is up to some of his typical tricks, which are to print reviews of Mr. Bell's first novel, which is Jane Eyre, hoping that people will think that this is also by the same Mr. Bell. But of course it's by Charlotte Bronte, not by Anne. He also printed fewer copies of the novel than he was meant to print. He printed them, but he didn't issue them. So there were only 250 or 300 perhaps issued in the first issue. The remainder had to be issued as a second edition later. So the first issue is a rare book. You see this is the first half title there. For some reason, only the first volume has a half title. That's as issued. The others don't have them at all. Perhaps Newby imagined they'd all be bound up in one volume. It is a rare book and a major book. The binding is somewhat later. We see here at the foot of the turn-in on the front inside board, we see the name of the binder, which is Lloyd, Wallace and Lloyd. Good quality binder, not strictly contemporary. Of course, most copies of this book would have gone in fairly undistinguished bindings into circulating libraries. So this has survived that process. And again, on the front board, we can see there's a nice, handsome bookplate of a collector, George Evelyn Cower, showing that this book has been valued and is now being reconsidered by critics and reappreciated, and it's very much being studied now as a major work and perhaps neglected up to this point. So a rare and rather attractive copy of the novel. There's a full description of it and other novels by the Brontes and other 19th century novelists on the Peter Harrington website.